Hey YouTube, this is Earl from Virginia. Just want to show you one of my display cases from one of my other hobbies. I do like knives and guns and hunting and the outdoors and camping and all that. But one of my true passions is metal detecting, and from where I live, Civil War relics are primarily what we find when we go metal detecting. This is actually when you come in the foyer in my house. This is my primary display case. And I got stuff stashed everywhere, and later on down the line I'll show you some more of it. But basically I just want to show you a few things. Just some ornamental stuff on top. Stonewall Jackson carving. Those bottles aren't real. There's actually they were ginger bottles from Civil War reenactment show. Just a little figurine. Actually this is an Indian matati. Another fossil rock that I found a couple months back, and was looking for arrowheads, but ended up coming out with a fossil rock. And it's pretty cool. Threw it on my collection. Little cap. Let's get into some of the relics, man. Where do I start? My first find right here actually is U.S. Civil War puppy paw plate. Let's see if I can do this without. Little porcelain button at the top was found in the same hole actually that day. Dug about 25 beer cans, old mold metal tin ones. They had put in a drainage skirt for a road cut they put in. I said 5 more minutes and one more signal, and that last signal happened to be this U.S. plate, and it was my very first plate I ever dug. And like I said, the porcelain button came out of the same hole. One of my prides is a sword plate. Got this out of my uncle's yard. He had a busted water main. He's got a house. I don't believe it's actually period. I believe it's around the 1880s, 79, 80s is when it was actually built. 1868 to 79, somewhere in that time frame. But his yard is definitely in the middle of some key property that was battlefield and encampments. And when he dug his pipeline, I actually got the sword plate and came back about a week later. This lighting really sucks. Came back about a week later and got this breastplate, same spot, same yard. Another friend of mine, he lives up at Fisher's Hill, one of the nicest plates I ever dug. This plate here hasn't been hit with water or anything. It was actually just a dry brush with a toothbrush. I also got a beautiful beautiful North Carolina button out of there, and a silver plated writing pencil, some underwear buttons, just a flower button. I'm not pulling this one out, but this is a breastplate. If you can see from the angle, it's got a bend in it. If you actually put it on the back and you measure up, you take a bayonet, and there's a groove in the back where actually, this lighting sucks without the glass off, but this thing actually there's a bayonet imprint on the back, almost perfect. It would fit perfect in the back of this plate where they try to, I don't know, destroy it or take the retention straps off or what they were doing, but the damage, the fold looks like is actually from a bayonet, like they try to destroy it or pried it off. They probably pried it off their belt or their box plate. This one here is kind of funny. This thing here is just a U.S. It's a skin off a U.S. belt plate. Actually, this other piece I'm not too sure what it is, but I think it has something to do with the firearm. I've never actually identified it, but this one here was folded with the U.S. folded inward, and the only thing that was exposed is the back, which had the lead pulled off of it. When I first looked at it, I walked over that thing about 10 times. I thought it was in that area. There was a ton of aluminum cans, and that was literally laying on top of the ground. It was folded in half, and I looked at it again from about 10 feet away. I can see a U printed on it. I picked it up, and there was a U.S. skin off a plate. This in here, got this off of a dig at Hansburg's Ridge, not Hansburg's Ridge, I'm sorry. Got it off of Wall Point in a hunt many years back. Smith Brothers, I believe, is the back mark on it. That's a beautiful plate. It's got good patina, nice chocolate patina. I really like it. What else do I got? This axe head, pretty much almost a full groove, not quite a groove cut in there, but it's pretty much a full groove axe. My boss I used to work with, no longer employed with the company, but he had a garden up in Yellow Springs, West Virginia, and down in his garden he was finding all kinds of arrowheads. He gave me a couple, but not long before I left, he came in one day and handed me this and told me to take it. He says he knew I'd take care of it and have a lot more pride with it, and I can't thank him enough. This is just an awesome axe head. And here's some pipe stems, carpet bag lock, and a saddle shield. Some little knickknacks. The VMM, actually, that's not real. That's a reproduction. But it's a mini VMM plate. I believe the originals only had 2 hooks. This is 3. This thing was buried about 20 years to give it a patina, but I'm not going to pass it off as a real because this is not a real plate. But it pretty daggone good replica. It was actually cast off an original plate. That was a gift. It was given to me recently. Some of the other stuff, some of my early finds, a lot of bullets. Old gun wrench right here, and can't actually see it. I think there's some flower buttons and some eagle buttons, some scales off some bat wings, miscellaneous stuff. Some whole Spencers, not glued or anything like that. There's tiny cracks in the back of those too, but the cold pistol shots there are kind of rare. I don't actually know if I've actually had them identified. The ring detail, they were probably hand cast one way or another. They were found in one of Sheridan's camps, but in the area where they were found, there was also some Confederate troops in there as well. I believe there's 2 ringtails in the middle. These sharps are whole. Powder's still in them intact. I got lucky and dug a hole with 140 Spencers in it, and these are 4 of the Spencers that came out of their hole. All this stuff came out of the same site. Some kepi hats, buckles, U.S. bridle rosette. It was actually broken. The other piece is at the bottom. It's been cut. You can't see it because of the casing. But that area, like I was saying, it was Sheridan's camp, is a Union camp, but there was Confederates in there as well. And this area where we found this was some CS staff buttons, a back off of a Louisiana puffback, and some other cool things. The Colts came out of that same area, but that bridle rosette bit boss was found, and then the piece you can't see I found about 3 or 4 weeks later in the same area. Ended up digging it. These all came out of the same place as well. Nice cross saber hat badge. Here's the back of the Louisiana puffback. Not far from that was 2 CS staffs dug, pack triangle, some other eagle buttons, mainly cuffs. Ton of cuffs came out of that site. Some underwear buttons. What else we got in there? Little diary hinges here. That is an Eagle C. Mainly cuffs. Like I said, there was a lot of cuffs came out of this site. Here's another site I go to. This is actually a Navy button, saddle shield. I think it's got 11-inch size. There's some more shields off the saddle. Justice shields, a primer, friction primer from an artillery piece, bat wings off carbon sling buckle, some percussion caps, pack rivets and grommets, regular eagle buttons, some more grommets. There's a powder flask top, what's left of it, a little sling hook. Actually, this here is my very first metal detecting find. And what's cool about it, I can't remember exactly where, but when I dug this hand blade and this Gardner they were laying on top of each other in the same hole when I got the signal, and that was pretty cool. These are my first 2 metal detecting finds ever right here. That was a pretty good day. Some artillery frags and case shot, steel case shot, some more frags, miscellaneous stuff. Another bridle bit. This came out of a different site. Underwear pants, kepi buckle as well. The bridle bit. Some kepi hat, kepi staff hat button. There's my pride and joy. I was talking to you earlier about the Louisiana puffback. That one there is Louisiana puffback, and it's intact. It came from a different site. It came out of the Remax site here in town. Also, you can't really tell, but that Maryland button there, it's a Maryland button. When you look at it, and when I take it, it fits exactly to a thumb imprint, so the guy was intentionally pushed the face down on that thing. But both of these came out of the same site within about 15 feet of each other. This here, you can't really tell from the camera, but it's a Virginia button, low convex one piece. Love that button. That was a CS staff, what's left of it. The Virginia and the CS staff both came out of the same site. Nice eagle eye, coat size, some big old colonial flat buttons. That one there's got some ornamental design on it, some gold gilt, and some pewter and silver wash colonial buttons. I'm going to just take out this one case because there's a, you can't see this as well either, but that is a Burnside breastplate. Found that at digging a Virginia hunt in Brandy Rock Farm. It's my pride and joy from there. It's our big old artillery frag. That's probably some type of poker chip. I got a bunch of other boxes I'll pull out some other time from digging in Virginia. I'll show you a couple more things, then we'll get off here. Another one of my pride and joys. Site out of here in Winchester. Again, that was Sheridan's camp. Dug down this pit. Got down about 4.5, 5 feet. When we got into some Burnsides, it was dug down. The half of the carbon sling buckle was about 10 feet away, and a big old belt adjuster off the same belt probably. They both came to the same spot, and the Burnsides were in this pit about 10 feet away. It was a big old, I got some iron hits off of some square nails, and then I got a huge old soup bone off a cow. And down below that was these Burnsides. There was about 20 of them all together. It's probably a cartridge box, or a small box. And the iron buckle, it's probably just an iron belt buckle, tumbler buckle. It was same hole as well as the Burnsides. I do over time find some arrowheads. Most of these points were all found while metal detecting in your eyeball. And this one particular one, man, the lighting really sucks. There we go. This one here actually came sight when I showed you the Louisiana and the Maryland button. This arrowhead here was laying on the ground, literally right in between the Maryland and Louisiana. So there's some early Indian artifacts in there. It was a site over on off of Jubilee called Remax, where there was a sleuth for an old mill tray sleuth, and up on the hillside adjacent to it was a little 8x10 shack, stone shack. And all we had left of was the foundation. All that stuff was mixed in there. These 2 points were from a boss that gave me the arrowhead, the axe head. This one here was actually this rose quartz point. Was actually my very first point I ever found. I found that up in Jubilee. They killed an old spring head there that was evidently a spot where they were chipping a bunch of arrowheads. We found tons and tons of chips in there. Not a whole lot of whole ones, but that one came out of there. Some of the typical stuff around here is quartz points. I believe this one came out of the same field as this one here. It's a triangular piece. I can't remember the exactly name of that, but it's not broke. It's actually whole. These two both came out of Jubilee, Remax. Like I said, my boss from Yellow Springs. This one I believe came from Lost River. This one came off the Rappahannock, and I believe this one came off the Rappahannock as well. Those are some of my points. And last bit before I sign off is just some miscellaneous stuff. A hammer off a musket, another hammer here. That was a pretty cool site. It was just a little tiny 20 by 20 site off of east end of town. Got into one day. Not exactly sure. I want to say it's a barrel band off a big old early musket, but I just can't get it identified. I'm pretty sure it's a musket band, but it'd be a big old flintlock if it was. Watering bit. My very first spur I ever dug. Of course, you can see a lot of times when they got rid of spurs or they lost one or damaged one, they destroyed the second one so nobody pick it up off the field and reuse it. This one you can actually tell they heated it up and spread it out and twisted it slightly. That's a union spur. Another union spur with a busted end off of it. Bleed, that is top the scabbard ring or the attachment ring off of sword scabbard. This one I found a site, actually it's a horse rein off of either wagon for a horse collar ring. It'd attach in and then you'd have another hook here, but that's pretty cool. It's been Civil War, so it's probably Civil War period as well. Some old locks that I found over time. Another one there, base off a reed shell. This came out of Juba early. This is my very first shell I ever dug. Actually, it's not a whole shell, it's the base again. This thing is heavy as heck. I'd hate to get hit off a frag off of one of these things. This thing would have been filled full of steel or lead case shot. Top end's busted, the fuse would have been up on top. I think it's a 3-inch or 4-inch shell. It would have probably sat about that big altogether. Shoot, this thing, just this part alone weighs about 3 to 4 pounds. It's incredibly heavy. I believe this is a part of a frag off of Hotchkiss, if I remember right. And lead sabot off an artillery frag. That's pretty much it. Some carved lead found off a camp. Not sure what they were making out of that, but it's actually folded over. It probably was a ring at one time, but it's smashed down. It's kind of cool. These two things I found together, Wall Point, some years back. I've seen them in a museum down there at the White Oak Museum. I have no idea what they are. They look like some kind of tension clips or something. There was a weld at one time or a solder point there, which I think these two together made like a tension clip sometime. Probably used in a hold 10 flaps back or something. I would figure something like that. Something to do with the 10, I'm sure. Part of a shoulder scale epaulet. Just some whatnot stuff. Here is a gun cleaning tool. What's left of it. It's been slightly twisted at the end and one end twisted off, but I'm pretty sure it's for a gun, handgun. Probably been a swab up in the one end. There might have been another piece in there, but I'm pretty sure it's a gun cleaning tool for a handgun. Some more miscellaneous frags. That's it for now. I'll get back to you guys later and show you some more of my stuff on later on. This is Earl from Virginia.